We are live. At least we're supposed to be according to YouTube. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. If you're not hearing this, it's because we got the delay wrong. If you are hearing this, yay and welcome. Also, you could just be watching this in the future, in which case, hello, future. Fair play. Oh, it definitely worked because my thing didn't mute. I have a little monitor here. Hey,
Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out.
say hi to everybody, Paul.
Hey, how's it going? It really seems like we start a stream and the smallest thing goes wrong.
Yeah, it is
It's
traditional
either
for us now.
the smallest thing or quite a large thing.
Yeah.
So I'm more happy with the small things.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna hit our opening intro now, so this can be all cut up to just here. That's right. Hi everybody, I'm Paul. He's Patrick because he's up above me right now. I'm pointing at you up there, and we are going to talk about what you have to look forward to in the second half of 2020, because 2020, folks, has been fun. If nothing else, it's been eventful. What do you reckon, Paul?
I'm Paul and he's Patrick.
Did I just call myself Paul?
Yeah, and he pointed up to me and said, "I'm Patrick."
That's
It's
good.
fine.
It's all
Okay.
right. We're apparently we're doing this live, and now I'm Paul, but he's also Paul, and I was once Patrick. So
It's fun. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of like half of the year thing that we're going to be doing, which I think with the opening of countries and stuff like that, we've got an exciting group of things to talk about.
yeah, well, we do have the possibility on the horizon, Corona willing, that some cinemas will open. So now, look, I'm in no rush. I think public safety has to come first, and it should always come first. I wish more people were taking it more seriously in some parts of the world, but right now, I'm happy that cinemas will be open before the end of the year. And when they are, we're going to talk about the stuff that you're going to get to see. We'll also cover some stuff that isn't reliant on cinemas opening because they may not. So I reckon, Paul, do you want to give a little rundown of the recent news that we might have had? Because I know we're going to be talking about cinema stuff, but there's a few little funny stories this week that we may as well get out there.
So, are we talking about
Well,
Hamilton on?
we've got Hamilton and Frozen 2 on Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
which is interesting. Yeah, because I've never seen the Hamilton play in any kind of way and stuff like that. But I have been told that the cast in the Hamilton that we're going to get on Disney is like the original cast, which
Oh,
are
cool.
like supposedly the top notch group that kind of did it. So that should be really really good. You know.
Well, all I know is Friday the 3rd is going to be a big day for Disney Plus because with Frozen 2 on the streaming service, they're going to get view after view after view on repeat until they're sick of all the songs in the second Frozen movie. But then they can all settle down, all those weary parents can settle down with a glass of wine that evening and watch Hamilton. And for some people who are crazy into it, that will be watching it over and over and over again. So I think Disney are doing well on Friday the 3rd.
They are like I think they're going to be. I can't wait for it. Except for Frozen 2. But I can't wait to see Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm
I've
looking forward to it.
already seen Frozen 2.
I haven't seen Frozen 2, and you know what? I'm going to give it a watch. I'm going to give it a watch. What I did want to really quickly shout out is if anybody joins the comments and wants to say hi, drop us a little hi. If you want to ask any questions about what we're talking about or mention anything, shout it in there. If you just want to ask us something random, do that. We'll answer just about anything. Just about anything. So keep it clean. The other bit of news is all about reboots, Paul. What the hell's going on with the second wave of reboots? It's bad enough to have a second wave of coronavirus.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave the Margot Robbie one to you because I think you might know a little bit more to me.
No, there's not much
No?
to
Okay,
know.
great.
There's not much to know other than Margot Robbie, along with the writer of Birds of Prey, as it was originally called, are going to be doing some part of the reboot of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's early days, and I still have the question of why, huh, how. Sure,
Yeah,
it's Pirates of the
like,
Caribbean. Let them do it. I guess I don't know.
well, yeah, I'm kind of like, well, what's the point in kind of redoing Pirates of the Caribbean when you can't do like when you can't do like, or where you should just do a new story. And I don't even mean like a Pirates of the Caribbean story. I more mean maybe like just a pirate movie,
Yeah.
you know? Like,
Franchise money are the answers to all of the questions. To be fair, it has, because there's no real details. This is all new stuff. It's going to be a separate thing. It's not going to be Margot Robbie as Jack Sparrow. It's not even like it's the same universe, but it's not going to have any relationship apparently to the
yeah,
originals.
that's good. Like I like that was the one kind of saving grace to it that I was just like, okay, cool. They're gonna kind of like maybe restart or do something a little bit different, but within the universe of the Pirates of the Caribbean. So
Mm.
there might be in future some kind of like cross between Jack Sparrow, Elizabeth Swan, and
You just know that Keith Richards is going to turn out to be Margot Robbie's dad in the third film or something, and Keith Richards will still be alive to play the role. So even if they don't shoot it for another 50 years, because that
yeah,
man's never going
no,
anywhere. What's the other reboot that's on the horizon?
Twister.
Love Twister.
Yeah,
Love me some Twister. I am not one of those snooty people who just remembers the cow flying. I remember all of the Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton drama and the great sound scape that was in it, because they really brought the wind to life using sound, particularly if
it
you got to
was
see it in a cinema.
it was great. Yeah, like it's a really fun kind of movie. They even had like Universal even made a park ride in Universal Studio Florida,
Actually, why wouldn't you?
which I went to. It was very good,
Oh,
very
cool.
cool. Yeah, it was
Was it
like
windy?
it's like yeah, yeah, but it was real fun. Just a little kind of side note,
Yeah.
little Newton. Um, we all stood at the rail, and my mum was just like, "Well, obviously this is all about twisters, so like rain and stuff like that's gonna fly at you." So she stood behind us, and it turns out that that's where all the rain came from. Was like a row behind the people at the front, so she got stepped and we didn't. So just
That's
you're
great.
not
Never,
always safe in rides.
never try and game the system. Well, a little quick side tangent. Favorite movie ride in Universal, because I've done Waterworld, Backdraft, Back to the Future, and what there was Transformers. That one was particularly good and weird. But for me, it's the little one. Backdraft is gone. Backdraft is long, long gone. It was years ago that it was there, and it essentially was much like Twister is a movie about wind. Backdraft is a movie about fire. You're standing in a room and they show you the room explode and catch fire in front of you, sort of thing, like a warehouse. So there's exploding barrels and stuff. And it was just one of those, there's no ride to it. You're just standing there going, wow, pyrotechnics is not only cool, but probably very hard.
That's pretty much the Twister. Yeah, Twister was just that. The line was like through an upside down house, and then you just stood in a room for like 10 minutes, and then you walked out, and that was it.
Yeah, you walked out
Like
with your hair tousled, no doubt. I hope.
once again, just on a little side
Hmm?
note, I got to do the Godzilla or the not the Godzilla, the King Kong ride before it was closed. That was something because like I appreciate it now. I didn't appreciate it then because there's also the Jaws ride, which is famous as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, the King Kong one was
I,
closed, which
I
was a
enjoyed the
pity.
King Kong thing. I got to do that. And again, this little side tangent's going on for a while, folks. But that's live streaming, so enjoy it. The Hugh Jackman Van Helsing, which was their haunted
Mm.
house, which I think then got repurposed into something else. Not an interesting thing, but as you're walking through, at one point, like lower doors opened up that you couldn't see because it was dark, and people who were either children or I'm assuming employees that were overage but were of diminutive stature would run around and poke you in the legs and grab onto you. And one of the guys that did that, or girls, I couldn't tell, they were in little like Ewok type smocks. I took a swipe with my leg because my natural reaction when somebody pokes me in my unexpected regions, I almost kicked a dude in Universal Studios. So glad I missed, because that would have been an awful way to end what was a lovely day.
Well done.
Sorry to that person out there if you remember some weird Irish guy trying to hit you with what were off-brand Nike replica shoes. Nike. Yeah, I
Oh
was
well.
I was broke. So 2020 second half. What have we got to look forward to, Paul?
Yes. we've got looked at so much. So let's first of all, we got the early opening of cinemas, which is really important to kind of talk about. Yeah, we got the early opening of cinemas. Cineworld is going to open in 28th of July, which will be the end of this month. And not to timestamp this video. Voy are also opening, I think, on the 28th or a little bit after that, which is, I just saw the news there.
Yeah.
And Odeon are
These are all provisional plans because everything is
yeah,
subject to
yeah,
change, and it's the same for a lot of the rest of the world. The dates in general span from some places very early July, so like right now essentially, to the end of the month. But depending on location, literally location, as in some outlets for Cineworld and places like that are opening, while others are not necessarily going to be in the exact same weekend.
yeah. Like Dublin, I think Dublin Cineworld is gonna open a little bit later. I think it's either the 28th of July, like all the rest, or it's going to be a little bit later, maybe early August, just because it's in the largest city
Yeah,
in Ireland,
yeah.
and it's just currently full of COVID.
Well, yeah, and that does tend to be the metropolitan curse. All right, yeah, when you catch it, everybody spreads it together. The funny thing is that whenever the cinemas do open in your locale, be you in America, Australia, or wherever, um, the fact that there are going to be new film releases in the next 30 to 60 days anyway. Now, I'm not getting into mask, don't mask. For me, it's all about wear a mask. Wear a damn mask. I'm all about that. I am looking forward to trying to sneak popcorn in through the sides of mask, etc. But yeah, no, I'm all for masks. So whatever way these things open, when they open, what we will be seeing, and I think it's fair to say, look, the dates have moved for this first film so much that I'm not even sure if this is the final kind of starting date. But Tennant, the one we've talked about on other shows,
Mm,
Christopher Nolan's Tennant, which is, as I've been trying to work out a way to describe it, it looks like Inception, except it's based on moving time forward and backward while simultaneously still moving through it.
yeah, it's like a
Help?
weird detachment of time. I don't know, like you go into some kind of procedure in which you can perceive time differently or something like
Yeah,
that.
you can reverse time
Um,
around you while still moving forward in your own time. Essentially, it's Christopher Nolan doing his thing, and I am all about Christopher Nolan's thing because his body of work has given me no reason to doubt him. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we're all kind of looking forward to that because it's been such a drawn out. When will it? It was always going to be the first one out by the looks of it. It always wanted to be, or the first of the big blockbusters anyway.
yeah, I think they wanted to position themselves because not only is it meant to be into that position of being the summer kind of event movie, it wants to be the first one when like people are going, I'm gonna go back to the cinema, I think. Which is so yeah, because I think it will also be a big draw towards people to bring them back to the cinema. Um, do you think, just out of curiosity, do you think because people will be wearing masks in the cinema that there'll be less talking?
Oh, I'd love if that was a side effect because then I'd finally be able to say there's a great side effect to this thing. Um,
Um,
I love the idea that there could be somebody sitting there in a mask lifting it up to talk on their mobile phone just to annoy me. In which
mm,
case, cell phone is the first thing I'm going to throw out of the room. Um, yeah, gosh, that's a good one.
I
No,
just yeah,
bad people are bad people, Paul. And make no
I
doubt, if
know,
you
but
talk in the theater, you're a bad person.
if you talk in the cinema with a mask on, it's going to be fairly muffled, and you're going to have to talk louder. So I think maybe people will be, if they aren't, then it's going to be a lot easier to be able to turn around to them and tell them to shut the hell up.
Yeah,
Because they're not going to be able to know who you are because you can just take off the mask when you get outside.
that's true. Do it well though. You could be you and two other people in a cinema at this stage. Let's hope not. Now I know that we're both going to go and see Tenant more than likely when it comes out.
Yeah.
Again, safety first. That's the last time I'm going to say because I think that precludes anything we say. I do think that it's going to be a hit in its own way because it's a Christopher Nolan film. It'll make money on the back end, even if it doesn't make it at cinemas. It will make it through streaming and premium video on demand. Like I don't think it's going to lose out completely. There
No.
is the next film on the list, though, the other big tentpole, which for Disney was going to be Mulan, the live action Mulan. It is
Yeah.
also bouncing around time wise.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because um, I saw the trailer. I'm really excited for the trailer, and I'm really excited for the movie. But I'm also not excited for this live action reboot of animated films. So, though it looks like in this one they've learned a little bit, because they've added a couple more things into it. So hopefully it's a different enough that will be like it'll be good. It also looks like they haven't whitewashed it as well, which is nice.
Good start for a change.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, like I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think it's going to do well compared to Tennant.
No, and I think its other big concern is the Chinese theater market. They don't know when it comes to opening what the scenario is going to be, and also different geographies around the world are going to have different confidence levels in the populace as to when they go back to cinemas en masse or not. And this film was planning on making a lot of global money, not just American local money.
Mhm.
So I did not watch the original animated, but I kind of plan on watching it before I see this. Is it? You have you seen it? Is it
Yeah,
good?
it's yeah, I enjoyed it. The songs are really good. Just watched Hercules the other day as well, which just stands up pretty well.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, it's got a great soundtrack. I'll "Make a Man Out of You" is a really good song, and "A Girl Worth Fighting For" is also very good.
oh, nice. Well,
It's
I'm going to give it a go. I'm definitely going to give it a go. I'm with you though that maybe this live action remake of animated stuff is picking up too much speed. They're going to run out of films before they stop doing it. That I know for sure. It's just I hope they maybe space it out a little more and
mm,
maybe don't make any
agreed.
more Jungle Books for like another 20 years because we've got like seven of them now.
Like I can't think of any other movies that they might do this to. You know, can't think of any of the other animated. Like they might try to do Hercules, but I don't think it might be real hard.
They've got the Little
So.
Mermaid in production somewhere or in the works ish somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see.
Mm,
So that's August 21st actually. Sorry, so Tennant was August 12th. Mulan currently August 21st, and up
yeah.
next that following week, this is one I'm definitely going to the cinema to see because I grew up on the other two movies, and that is our good friends Bill and Ted back for their final hurrah, making jokes about being old, which will hit me really, really hard because I am of their actual era. So every time there's a joke about them being too old, I'll be like, that's a joke at me also.
You'll be grand.
I will. I'll be grand.
You'll be
That's
good.
look at me fishing for sympathy.
Look, you'll be grand because in the sense of you like it'll be the completion of the kind of song that like helps win the world over to peace.
Yeah,
So it'll be closing of the loop.
it's so true, and it'll be like the end of an era where Keanu Reeves was typecast as Keanu Reeves. No, it won't. He's going to come back and do another Matrix. So they're going to get some more Keanu Reeves out of him before he does what we will all eventually do. But yeah,
And it'll be
I'm down for that one.
no, it's going to be good. I'm really interested in kind of how they're going to play it off and stuff. It'll be nice to have the first comedy movie come out, the first comedy time travel movie come out. So
It's
I'll be
true.
interested in that. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the next one
Oh
is going
yes,
to be inch. The next one comes out on the same day, to August 28th. Which is I'm gonna put like a little asterisk here and be just like it might come out on August 28th because this is the New Mutants, which has been coming out for the last 2 to 3 years.
it's yeah, pretty much. And I've thrown up a little screenshot of some of the cast. You can see Maisie Williams there on the right. She's of Game of Thrones. Famously,
Hmm.
she was the young girl that was good with a sword. Can't remember the character's name right now. She is
Ira,
now like
Arya.
Arya Stark. Well, she's now Yoda's age. That's how long they've been making this film. And the guy on the left in the hat from Stranger Things, you've even forgotten that Stranger Things existed. That's how long they've been making this film. It nearly got released. I think the last time we were counting this up, there were four possible release windows. Now I'd say it's probably double that because it's been slated a few times and stopped even since then. So if this ever comes out, I think I'll go and see it in the cinema just so I can say I was there when it finally hit the screen.
That's pretty much my thought as well. That's the only reason I'll go see it myself at that time is because if it does actually come out on the 28th, I want to be able to I'll be like,
Yeah,
mark this day, people.
we should.
You know,
That's the one that we should definitely go and see together, and we can do a piece about taking part in history. Berlin Wall came down. It's Nelson Mandela was freed, and New Mutants finally made it to the cinema. Good God.
finally, oh god.
It's kind of crazy.
Um,
So, any comments out there? Anybody that wants to give us the film or other that they're looking forward to most? Anybody here is anybody in the comments that's either like it's Tennant or nothing for me, or like me, they're kind of going, I am ashamed, but honestly, I'm looking forward to Bill and Ted. So, if anybody wants to call out my support there,
or like, how are you feeling about the cinemas reopening? Are you going to go first thing when you can, or are you going to give it a couple of months? Like, how do you feel about the opening of cinemas?
and have you
And how
practiced eating a hot dog with a mask at home yet?
uh,
Because if you
I'll
have, you
tell you,
should video yourself, start your own YouTube channel. I think that's the kind of content that could get you good internet hits. We're not doing it,
was
Paul.
gonna, I was gonna say yeah. It also seems very naughty the way that it seemed to be said there.
It's just a hot dog, Paul. It's just a hot dog. Or is
Is
anyway.
that what you're gonna tell? Is that what you're gonna tell me when I'm doing it?
That's what I'm telling
It's
myself right now.
just a hot dog, Paul.
So on to the next one, which is the Quiet Place Part Two. Everybody, Quiet Place Part Two has also been talked about this on this channel multiple times because we're big fans of the first, big fans of the first.
Yeah,
And predominantly big fans of the first, not just because it's a good movie, but because of the cinema experience it gave. So the irony
yeah,
of ironies that we're talking about it coming out at a time when people may not go to the cinema. Oh, I think it's going to be a very different film to the first one anyway. So I don't know if it'll be as big a deal that you maybe don't see it in the cinema, but I'm still really looking forward to it.
yes. September 4th, this one's coming out.
Yes.
Like, all of these are caveats and kind of like they should be coming out at that time. But yeah, Quiet Place 2. I'm interested because hopefully once again we don't have a ruining of the origins of the monsters because I don't care where they come from. They're
Yep.
scary as is. I think there's
Never
going to be a lot
tell. Yeah.
more. Yeah, like I think there's going to be a lot more kind of. There is going to be a lot more talking in this one than probably in the first one. But if they can capture even like a small bit of the experience of the first one, then
That's a
like,
really
my
good
God, I
point.
can't wait. Yeah,
That's a really good
you know.
point. All they if they can get a tenth of the magic, if they can keep the charm, because it's not a gimmick. It didn't feel like a gimmick. That was the other thing about the quiet place being so quiet. Did not feel like a gimmick. If they can talk all they want as long as they keep the charm and that core sort of um, tension, tension with a little bit of kind of character driven. You were rooting for the people. If they can get that, then they can talk the whole way through and not use the fact that it was the quiet place.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like, hopefully they can recapture it.
well, I'm gonna swiftly move us on from the Quiet Place to a film that I'm honestly not that excited for, but I know a lot of people are. Paul, I don't know about you. What's your thought on the King's Man? Not the Kingsman or the Kingsman Golden Circle. This is another one of those things with your Fasts and Furious, your The Fasts and The Furiouses. This
Yep.
is taking the Miquit names again. The King's
Um,
Man.
yeah, I'm interested in it just because the cast seemed really cool. And I've liked the Kingsman and the Kingsman's Golden Circle.
Me too.
They were really good movies, so I'm kind of interested in seeing what they're going with this one because it's set like in World War I.
Yeah.
So
Which puts it in my look. I will give it a chance. I probably just won't give it a chance in the cinema. But if you want to get off on the wrong foot with me, it's usually a good idea to make a prequel. Because maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something that happened in the past, George Lucas. I don't know, maybe it's something that happened in the past. But prequels have tended to. They're explaining the monster, to call back to our previous bit. I don't necessarily think you want to take the magic out of where things came from. You usually want to tell further stories based on whatever you've created. So look, I can't pick too hard on it. I'm hoping it'll be good. I agree with you. The cast does look pretty damn solid. Um,
yeah,
I'm kind of cheesed out by the name. I think it's just cheesy to do that kind of wordplay trick. But hey,
Like I completely understand where you're coming from. We both have the same kind of like the what is it? The Suicide Squad, which is the
yeah.
Suicide Squad 2. That kind of like, and then as you said, Fast and the Furious. Which, by the way, I finally watched Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh, oh,
Um,
right. That's a trip,
so
isn't it?
oof. um,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it later.
Mm.
So yeah, I kind of like, and I'm also agreeing with you on the prequel thing. I don't see the point. But if it can make it its own story, then I'm cool with it. It's just that they explained how the Kingsman came about in like a 40 seconds like exposition, so I don't see why they need to explain it again.
It's a really
But
good
in a
point, actually. That's a really good point. It's one thing they have already established, so they're going to have to just interweave and tell more story. Hey, if you're right, if they pull it off, they pull it off. But there's one
Hmm.
film that I definitely know. He says definitely. There's no way to know, but my confidence is high. Confidence is high. Wonder Woman, 1984. I am a particular fan of the first film. We've talked about it at length. If it wasn't for
Yeah.
that final third act kind of mess up, it would have been, it would have been one of the great films. I still think it's really good. You've got the same cast, same director, same team. It's just got everything going for it. I think it could be really, really good.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. Like I can't dispute it in any kind of way. It feels like it might, like once again, recapture some of the Wonder Woman kind of ness to it. It might continue on to be the top runner of the DCU's kind of like good films. Which, because you are right, I watched Wonder Woman again, and the third act is a very, very hard one to swallow, because it seems like if they went with another way, it would have been really, really good.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They decided that they had to have the you know
The
nighttime bad fight. So
the night. Thank you for putting it that way because that encapsulates it all. One thing I will say about this one though, uh, it's well actually I looked up the date there in our notes. It's October 2nd, I think. Do you want to
yeah,
verify me on that? Um, I am excited for because most superhero films are defined by their bad guys or bad girls, and in this case, it looks like we're gonna have a bit of both. We're gonna have Pedro, what's his name, who's everywhere, doing what looks like a bit of a TV magnate, also bad guy, and then there's going to be Kristen Wiig of Bridesmaids and Saturday Night Live fame, doing Cheetah, which is it's going to be cool
yeah,
because she's going to be a friend who turns bad more than likely, folks. We're not spoiling anything there that the trailer isn't even hinting at. I'm looking forward to seeing her in her first kind of action movie role, for lack of a better term, because the lady's got talent. So this is nice.
yeah.
Good job, DC.
Like I'm interested because, as you said, she's a very funny actor, and at the start for the trailers and stuff like that, it seems like that kind of awkward friend kind of vibe that she can pull off really well is going to be there. And then yeah, I can't wait for the inevitable transformation into the cheetah.
Yeah, and
So
who better to do the kind of the transformation character than somebody who's done sketch comedy for so long and inhabits characters and switches between them so effortlessly. So I'm secretly maybe above all the other films that I know are probably going to be better than it. Wonder Woman 84 is the one I'm kind of looking forward to most. Just because I think if they get it right, it could be a real riot. It could be a lot of fun and just a really good fun movie, a good thrill ride.
yeah, I think so. It looks great, and it'll be interesting to see because they got like the first Wonder Woman really, really well done in the period piece, and it looks like they're going to do this, like they're going to do, which is Wonder Woman, like 1980 or 1940 84, which goes really well as well. So I'm going to be interested because Marvel have been able to pull that off consistently in time stamping their kind of like their movies where they're meant to be set and stuff. So I'll be
Yeah,
interested to see if DC can continue on pulling it off. So
that's a really good point, and plus the fact having lived through the 80s, there's a lot of stuff to set yourself nicely in 1984. Like 84, 85, from a movie point of view, was a golden era. Oh, you saying big hair?
Big hair.
Oh, big hair. Well, yeah. And so many things that were so much worse. If we can get away with just remembering the big hair, we'd be lucky. Anybody who ever wore corduroy dungarees, just hit me up in the comments. There are no
Or
pictures.
or bum bags.
Oh yeah, the fanny pack, which has survived all the way to today in certain tourist destinations. I still see
Yeah.
surprisingly large number of those things.
I really enjoy seeing people do it on they put it on their back and be just like, it's a shoulder bag, and you're just like, it's a bum bag, like, or a fanny pack, as the American brothers.
Yeah,
So,
neither is a good phrase that you want associated with your clothing. Bum or fanny. Have we got any
uh,
comments in there, Paul?
Nora says, "Prequels suck. Name one good prequel. Can you name any good prequels?"
Given enough time, I'm sure we would, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Does Back to the Future 3 count?
I see what you did there, and you know what? Because we can't think of a better one, it counts. Yeah, no, I don't know what. Yeah, whew. There's
um,
there's our homework for next week. We're going to get our heads together and try and come up with if there was a good prequel. I was going to say we'll list the best prequels, but I think we'll be lucky if we can find one that was actually worth doing.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
So,
So on
yeah,
to the next one.
and the
Yeah,
next one is Black Widow.
yeah, Black Widow, November 6th. November 6th. Yeah, that should be. It's interesting. I'm really glad that I'm going to get a chance to probably see that. Like, as we're getting closer into the end of next year, um, I'm looking forward to kind of like seeing the kind of dates maybe shore up. So Black Widow November 6th, I think, is going to happen. I'm
Yeah,
really excited for it. It's got Taskmaster, which I really can't wait to see him fully in gear, and and it's just got like Scarlett Johansson again back in the role that I'm really looking forward to have a look at.
yeah,
You know?
and as we've talked about, Florence Pugh, who may be primed to take over the Black Widow mantle, maybe kind of thing. Let's not tie ourselves to anything. Florence Florence Pugh's awesome. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
go into this again because we usually lose about 20 minutes of film every time I mention her name because she's great. Fighting with my family. Promise it's the last time I will tell you to go and see it, but everybody go and see it. I know Paul agrees. We endorse that film. The rest of the cast is incredible too, but it's kind of funny that Black Widow, much like New Mutants, Black Widow was one of those things people were saying, when's Black Widow getting her own solo film? Why isn't she going to have the first female-led solo Marvel film? And Captain Marvel beat her to that. Then when it was finally produced and made, it had all of this. Now I know it
yeah,
pushed the Eternals out of the way to get a release quite rightly, because that was supposed to originally be that weekend, I think. So it's moved to 2021.
yeah. It was meant to be the Eternals originally was meant to be the next one in the series, but I guess we the fans pushed for a Black Widow film enough that
Yeah,
they felt like they had to do it, which I'm all for in the sense of kind of, but I'm also like, did we really have to push that hard? Like, did like you should have just done it ages ago.
yeah.
Like, um,
I think you know what I think it's maybe it's going to come at the right time if the story they tell is based on, now that we know more about Black Widow thanks to the films that we had instead of this. I will say, tough time for Marvel because they'd spent an awful lot. Not that they don't have deep pockets; they can hit Mickey Mouse up for another 200 million, but they spent an awful lot of their marketing budget already. So they're invested in this movie. I really hope that it gets the payback because anybody that gives it the whole, well, you see, people aren't going to female led films. Number one, and we're cursing in this one, right? You're an asshole. But number two, the the likelihood of this protracted, drawn out kind of advertising campaign that will now have lasted over a year probably could have an effect on whether or not people go on top of COVID. So
yeah.
it's behind the eight ball, and I hope that it really does succeed.
See, I think it will succeed because it's going to be the first Marvel film that we're going to get in the last like probably like, or half a year
Yeah,
and a half, maybe,
yeah,
like, or sorry, year.
year and a
Because when
bit.
was the last? Yeah, like,
Mm,
so I'm gonna say that a lot of people are gonna probably be stretching to get this, to get this in the cinema and stuff. So,
I hope so.
um, Brew said, "Is the Joker a prequel?"
No,
No, it's not. It's
it's a
a
standalone.
standalone. Yeah, it's a standalone DCU film. Doesn't connect in any way to any of the original or to the any of the Batmans or anything like that.
Yeah, I see
Um,
where he's coming
it,
from a timeline point of view, but if it's a prequel, then definitely Back to the Future 3 is definitely a prequel. So, and it would still be, it would be the first of the better ones. But no, it's not. Thanks, Brew, though, because that's a good attempt. If you have any others in your, because I know Brew quite well, and I know a phrase he says repeatedly is sequels don't do them. I hate sequels, and I'm usually sitting there going, I feel the same way about prequels. So
he said Boo earns because we said that Joker is the prequel. So
it's all right. You still get the free T-shirt when we make T-shirts. So yeah,
that Del Toro's my boy T-shirt.
there you go. Actually, that's right. Paul has a special T-shirt. Well, there is one
Uh,
other that has more sequels than any other film. I think, if you consider it sequels, to do more and more James Bond films, because James Bond is finally, after its troubles, talk about a list of films that didn't want to get released. Our
yeah, like
first
I
ever
think.
recording, we talked about James Bond losing its director when it was Danny Boyle. Was that our
Yeah,
first
yeah,
ever?
we did. Yeah, yeah. One of the first ones we ever talked about was the fact that, yeah, Danny Boyle decided to quit because he was just like had enough, had
Yep.
enough. So I'm interested in this one because
Mm.
if it's following the route of the current James Bonds, it means that this one will be the good one.
One up, one
Because
down. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much it would seem that it goes that way because Casino Royale was good. Quantum of Solace was bad. Skyfall was great.
Hmm.
Spectre was not good. And now it's No Time to Die. So, yeah, I'm interested in this one.
It's got everything going for it. Well, yeah, genuinely, I think they're due the traditional upswing in form, but also I know Daniel Craig has said last Bond a few times. He's the boy who cried last Bond, but this is likely to be his last Bond. And I think that will probably lead to that extra effort being put in. I think we're probably going to see his best effort at best Bond. So I'm down for it. I I'm kind of over the Bond franchise, but that's just me, and I'm easily jaded. I'm just a bit like that sometimes. This is one of those films that has a chance to maybe ignite my interest before they recast the role.
Yeah, I'm there with you on that, and I would attribute that to a combination of Daniel Craig because I didn't really like him as James Bond.
Yeah.
I know I'm in a minority there.
You're
Um, like I
yeah.
because every time I talk to people, they've gone, Daniel Craig is a really good Bond, and I'm just like, no, Daniel Craig's a really good Bond in his James Bond films.
Mm,
But I don't really count James Bond as a Jason Bourne esque character. So, you know,
yeah.
but this one should I, I I think this one could be a kind of a really good one, and I do think that it will eventually end this franchise for Daniel Craig as well.
Yeah.
Like I really like Daniel Craig I wanted to caveat that I really like Daniel Craig as an actor. I don't like him as a Bond.
Yeah,
So
and I would kind of echo that. It's not that I don't like him as a Bond. I think you're right. He played his type of Bond maybe a little bit too much in that direction. So I'm hoping that that's why this final performance he'll have worked those wrinkles out and maybe be less po-faced. I want to call out that Brew is obviously trolling in the comments because he just says Phantom Menace, lols. No, that's not an example of a good prequel. That's the best example of a bad prequel. Maybe not even.
oh,
Oh,
Rogue One.
yeah, I
It's a
guess that's a
prequel
prequel. Yeah, I guess it
because
is.
it's set
Yeah,
yeah, it's the best one I can currently think of off the top of my head,
and
just as a random one.
it is what I use as an example of a fine film that is completely, for me, was pointless. It's like it's not even a full prequel. It's telling one part of a story. Same as Han Solo, which was a very bad idea. I think they got away with it with Rogue One because they did a good job. And then I was vindicated when Han Solo happened, and I'm like, see how it could have gone. Don't bother going back explaining parts of your stories. Anyway, thank you, Brew. Now, Brew, if you're out there typing still, want to hear who your anybody in the comments best James Bond, as in best actor. I will be surprised if anybody picks Daniel Craig, who was alive when the other people were doing it, because you usually end up picking somebody that was your Bond for childhood. That's tends to be it. It's not the case for
Yeah.
me, funny enough, but tends to be.
I don't think I don't think it's mine because mine's Pierce. My Bond is Pierce Brosnan, and I don't think it's either Roger Moore or Sean Connery for me.
Yeah, that is
Um,
the tough choice for most people, I think. And poor old George Lazenby, one movie and nobody ever picks him. Like,
Jared
yeah,
Edgley was good. Really did enjoy him.
he was handsome. I'll
Um,
give him that. You know what? He was the most dapperly handsome Bond in a lot of ways. And we better
True.
move on
So
though.
that's November 20th.
Oh, that is November
Just to say
20th.
this. Sorry, just one thing. I also think the reason why people haven't liked the James Bond so much is because there has been a lot of drama, and that is Daniel Craig's like, will he, won't he kind of like thing. That's another black mark, I think, on it. But
It
anyway,
it honestly that did wear me out too. The if you're gonna say this is your last Bond, make it your last Bond. Yeah. Anyway,
ex-
negotiating tactics aside, I'm going to throw up on screen one of my favorite people who could play James Bond because he could play anything. It's Ryan Reynolds, Free Guy.
yeah. Now, interesting enough, this is probably one of the ones that hasn't been as rescheduled as probably the other ones because it
Mm.
was meant to come out early this year. So it's been pushed back a little, like it's been pushed back to the end to the later of this year. But I am really excited because this is probably the next comedy that I'm looking forward to, and only the other comedy on the list, it would seem.
Yeah,
Um, Kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to Ryan Reynolds kind of coming back as Free Guy. So or
yeah.
coming to the cinema as Free Guy.
And for anybody who hasn't seen any of our previous videos where we mentioned this Free Guy, we haven't really had to give a synopsis for the rest because they're all pretty self-explanatory, except for Tennant, which nearly killed me. I'm going to hate watching that back. Free Guy is if you're in a massive multiplayer game and you have non-playable characters, they're just they're the guys. Well, that's Guy. He plays a character called Guy who becomes self-aware. There's all sorts of shenanigans behind it, but essentially, when the little nobody gets the power of a player and becomes a hero, somebody. We all know that I adore Ryan Reynolds, but I'm so glad this just didn't get shuffled off to Netflix or something. Because his
Yeah,
last Netflix movie, 600 Grand, as much fun as it was, and The Hitman's Bodyguard and all that stuff, I don't want to see him just becoming a streaming star. I'd like him to keep kicking out different movies into the cinema. So
yeah, because it's interesting actually to say that because the Hitman's Wife is coming out this year,
the sequel to
which
Hitman's
is this,
Bodyguard is The Hitman's
yeah,
Bodyguard wife or something.
yeah, Hitman's Wife. So I'm wondering if it's going to involve Ryan Reynolds in any kind of way, or is it just going to be Samuel L. Jackson and oh my god, I can't even remember her name.
It's Selma Hayek. Selma Hayek.
Yeah,
I got you. Got you covered. My
uh,
my memory did its thing there for a change. Well, that's December 11th, and then on December 18th we get Cats Part 2. No, we don't. We get West Side Story by Steven Spielberg, which could turn out to be Cats Part 2. I do not know if this will work. I am assuming it's not going to. Steven Spielberg, you're a genius. West Side Story, now? Paul?
we did a video on Steven Spielberg's film, so we hadn't seen or seen and stuff like that. But we did mention the fact that West Side Story was coming out, and I said something along the lines that Steven Spielberg has not been Steven Spielberg for a while,
Ooh, ooh.
and I think this will be either the recrowning of Steven Spielberg, or it's going to be probably the nail in the coffin for me with Steven Spielberg, with current day Steven Spielberg. Because I love ET, I love the majority of the Indiana Jones, like I love pretty much everything he's done. Jurassic Park, like
He's undeniable body
fantastic.
of work. It's more greatness than not.
Yeah, and even his TV shows with the Band of Brothers and
Oh
Sin
yeah.
Pacific, all fantastic. But as I said recently, he has not been doing well for my taste. And West Side Story,
Well,
see how it goes.
before people think I'm picking on it because it's a song and dance, it's not because it's a song and dance. That's no problem at all. I think it's a strange choice, and I think last year when Cats was on the horizon, we were like, yeah, this is interesting. Okay, West Side Story has more of a standing as a theatrical movie, as a film. I just don't know how it's going to play. I think they're going to shift some time and shift some social pressures, as is natural when you try and update a film for modern times. You know what? I think I will say no more, but I'm reserving judgment. But if I was a betting man, I'm not putting money on this one working out well.
Well, just like West Side Story is if no one knows about it, where the hell have you been? Is essentially the story of essentially minority gangs in New York on the West Side, and how it's the best way to describe it is a slight Romeo and Juliet esque like storyline, with but more modernized and also with kind of like Dead Poets Society mixed in with kind of Coach Carter, I would say as well.
But mixed in and woven together by walk clicking, and lots of dance fighting. And when I say dance fighting, I'm not talking like Brazilian, capoeira or whatever that martial art is.
Capoeira, yeah.
I'm talking more dance fighting to the saxophone, or the big heavy timpani drum. It's like, ooh, who know? Yeah. So look, we'll see.
Well, the thing that I was going to say was like in today with current climate on kind of minorities and stuff like that, it's going to be a very interesting release anyway.
They're gonna have to
And
walk the
so,
tightrope, which is only
yeah,
proper current climate or not. I hope they took that
yeah,
seriously anyway. But that's
yeah.
December 18th, so that's your Christmas movie, or is it, Paul? Because the only two movies we have left to talk about on the same day, while I'm watching West Side Story, and I walk out of the theater clicking towards Paul, going, "I'm going to stab you." He will walk out of what film, Paul? Because I know you're
Of
going to
Dune.
this.
Of Dune, yeah. I'll be asking you if you want spice or melange. Yeah, Dune, December 18th. It's going to be fantastic. I really am looking forward to this movie. It's going to be my main event, I think.
That
Like, I'm going to be
that's
really
fair.
interested in Tennant and Black Widow and Wonder Woman and all the rest of them, but I think Dune is going to be my kind of like big event movie that I'm going to have to see in the cinema. Even if the cinema's closed, I will break in and make sure that I see it. It's going to be fantastic.
I highlighted this in my copy of the show notes, as the bit where I'd shut up and let Paul talk, because I knew when we got to Dune, it'd be like, I knew I was going to have my Ryan Reynolds moment. So, yeah, Denis Villeneuve, again, everything going for it. Dune, based on an epic work, it can't go wrong until it does. So all they have to do is avoid going wrong, and I think they'll probably go right. My
Well, see,
hope is high that they'll probably nail this one.
yeah, see, this is the thing is this one is really hard to do. Like
Oh
Dune is
yeah.
really, really hard to do. But what everything we've seen and stuff like that, the costumes, actors, what you get the director, every the sets and everything is all coming together in a way that like really makes it seem like it will be a really good film. So I'm fingers crossed with this one, but it has everything that can go wrong quite quickly. So
Yeah, but again, when you know what to avoid, I think people like specifically Denis Villeneuve, I think he'll know how to steer the ship away from the potholes. I don't think we're going to see a Sting sword fighting moment, or Patrick Stewart.
mm,
I hope we see a Patrick sword fight moment. Um, I know that 2 days later, on the 23rd of December, which is a strange release date for this now, and I've got to double check that. I don't know if that's the official release date. The final film we're going to cover, I'm just going to make sure I key up my
I
favorite
think
picture. Go for it.
Yeah, 23rd, which goes like it seems to be the set date for this film.
Top
So
Gun Maverick. I finally got my picture
yeah,
on screen. Um, there is no doubting that Tom Cruise likes to do his own running. Does a lot of his own stunts. Um, Top Gun's the film that put him really on the map, I would say. So this is taking all of his years of action movie and being the guy in the plane in front of the camera and smashing it all together with the nostalgia of the film that broke him, to the widest audience anyway. I think it's going to be more than a nostalgia fest. I think this is going to be brilliantly shot. It's going to be action cinematography porn. I think we're going to
yeah.
be sitting in a cinema doing a man, that's a great shot, or wow, where they had the two planes and they obviously had a camera buried inside something else. It's like, yeah, there's going to be an awful lot of that. If they dollop on a little bit of nacho cheese on top and have Maverick talk about the need for speed, yeah, I'll watch it.
I'll be interested in seeing because when Top Gun 1 came out, the amount of people that signed up to become Navy pilots like increased like a lot. So I'd be interested to see if Top Gun Maverick does a similar stat. Like
There
that
was
would be an interesting one to look at, you know?
two things that increased around that time: sign up for the Navy to want to be flyboys, and people learning the Unchained Melody or whatever that is, so they could try and serenade people in bars. And they were like, "Oh, it's a two-person song, Dave. Me and you, we both have to learn the words. All right. So when I go up to her, when I say you never close your eyes anymore, like come in and be ready to do the backing vocals, man, or else it's not going to be cool." I only know this because I remember being in places where people drunkenly thought, "Oh yeah, what would be cool right now if we pretended to be Maverick and Goose."
I'd be interested to see if people learned working for the weekend, just
I
because that's also in that song, that
I
movie,
know.
or Danger Zone.
Oh well, I think anytime you're on a motorcycle on your own, if you're not wearing a helmet, you are secretly humming Danger Zone in your head. Although at no point is anybody going to bring up volleyball in this because that volleyball scene still makes me wonder. It's like, whew, that's maximum 80s kind of baby oil, isn't it? God, that was impressive. My mum
Yeah,
loved that scene. I think though, fair play.
I think
I
I think
think
that was for the mums.
yeah, and for a lot of the rest of the people too, which is great. But yeah, what's last on? There's no, that is last on our list. Before we jump to the what happens, Paul, what have we got to look forward to in case cinemas do not open at all this year?
Yeah, so we got an interesting one. Greyhound, which is Tom Hanks' World War II convoy ship thing, is opening in July 10th on Apple TV, which will be interesting because no one will watch it. Um, like I'm going to have to somehow get Apple TV
Mm-hmm. Mm, yeah,
to watch
yeah,
it,
yeah,
which
yeah.
because I really like Tom Hanks in any kind of World War II. I think he's set for that kind of period and stuff. I think he's also really fascinated with that, and I think he will go to the master of that kind of era, which will be Steven Spielberg, and kind of getting tips and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
So
like.
I'd be interested in it.
I'm with you. I kind of wish it was coming out in another platform, to make sure it got wider views. I assume eventually it will. Everybody will eventually see it because it'll get passed around onto the other stations eventually. But yeah, Tom Hanks is made for that stern naval, deep-hearted yet kind of very competent captain. So it's going to be fun. And again, the
Mhm.
trailer has that water torpedo shot, that classic trailer move of, oh my god, it's going to hit the boat. You have me. I'll watch your movie because you give me that little teaser. Torpedoes. Torpedoes are kind of cool. Torpedoes have been cool since I was a kid. I don't know why. They're weapons of
Yeah,
destruction. That's terrible. But there's something about a cinema shot of this thing whizzing along underwater. Maybe I watched too much Stingray. I don't know.
I think you also probably watched which was Pearl Harbor because they had a lot of that in the trailer as
Oh, they
well.
did.
Like, and
Any
it was big.
any sub
So
film, any submarine film has at least two of those
yeah, that's true.
shots. Um, if we're not talking movies, what's the only thing left to talk about in our remaining minutes? And that's TV in the second half of 2020. I'm gonna go first, Paul, because I have been unfairly hard on a streaming service that now that I have their launch date, which is July 15th, it's Peacock, by the way.
Yeah.
Peacock, the worst named streaming service of them all, which is NBC's logo is a peacock. So NBC's streaming service is called Peacock. Um, Somebody took a day off in the naming department there. They're launching with what looks like a bunch of interesting shows. There's kind of a comedy, Intelligence, I think it's called, with David Schwimmer from Friends. You remember him, everybody remembers him. A bunch of interesting shows, but the one I picked just to highlight is, and I will try and do my thing where I actually hit buttons, A Brave New World. That's based on the Aldous Huxley novel. We're talking, okay, if most people have either heard of it or have some familiarity. If you haven't, essentially this is about a society kind of a la 1984 where they're telling people monogamy is outlawed. It's basically about being happy. So it's you get your drugs, you get your everybody's having their fun orgies. It's all about excess and loving and living your life. But obviously that's for the good half of society, and it also has a darker side. I think it could be interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to call it out as well is you'll recognize the guy in the middle as Alden Ehrenreich, I think is how you pronounce it. The last time you saw that poor man, he was in Solo, ending his career. So
Yeah.
it's nice that he's getting to do something.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing him come back with Brave New World. It's an interesting TV show, as you said. It's an interesting book. Um, if I knew this was coming out or going to be thing, when we did what could possibly replace Game of Thrones,
Hmm.
I don't believe this could replace Game of Thrones, but I believe this could be a Handmaid Tales esque, which goes phenomenon. You
Yeah,
know, as
and
in a lot of people I know were like, Handmaid Tales is great.
yeah,
I'm
and I
just
think A
like, that's
Brave
not
New
your
World
kind
will
of.
fit that mold. I agree, and I also think that there'll be Westworld overtones.
Mm,
So that they'll be pulling from a few different audiences. Unfortunately, they'll be pulling from those audiences on Peacock.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll get it on one of our other stations over here, but that's going to be US only on Peacock. So good luck,
Mm.
folks. I hope you have access to that wonderfully named streaming service.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And now a new show that me and you, or not a new show, but a season two of a show that me and you very much enjoy, which is Umbrella Academy season two is going to come out on July 31st on Netflix. I'm really really excited for this because Umbrella Academy was a surprise in the sense that I read the comics and was just very suspicious about the TV show, and slow starter, but really really good.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I agree. I was surprised. It caught me by surprise. I was kind of expecting it to be chintzy and a little bit rough around the edges. It had its moments, it had its faltering moments, but overall, I would give it the yeah, definitely watch. The way they ended that first season, which we won't talk about for spoiler purposes, means I'm very very interested in seeing a second season because it was quite the epic ending that kind of left you with the cliffhanger of, well, I better watch a season two if they make it. And now that they've made it, I'm gonna watch it. So
Yeah, like that's the thing that I was um, like I was how can I say it? It was one of those surprise films or surprise TV shows, as I said, that
sorry.
was really good. And then yeah, I was very much like, awesome. I can't wait for the next season. They've really keep this up really well, so I'm looking forward to it. Um,
And that's July 15th, or July 31st, I should say. So it's only a month away, and it's Netflix. So we'll all get to see it because everybody has Netflix. We don't have to talk about the streaming service when it's Netflix because it's just ubiquitous. Um,
yeah,
Similarly, on Disney Plus, the other streaming service that is maybe second most popular or maybe tied with Amazon at this stage, is what I wanted to call my two Captain Americas. But for some reason, Disney Plus thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was a more concise title. Falcon and Winter Soldier, great characters, I think, in the MCU. I think it worked. Particularly, I'm a big fan of Bucky, big fan of Winter Soldier. I'm not sure where this is going to go. I hope they keep it lighthearted and make it like the buddy cop comedy, not comedy, but buddy cop lighthearted action show that it should be.
yeah. No, I agree in the sense. Like I really like them in Civil War. Is it, yeah, in Civil War when like they're in the little bug and they're
Yeah,
just like, "Can you move your seat forward?"
no,
No, and then like,
yeah,
is that
they're
coming? Like their fight with Spider-Man was also a great kind of buddy miss moment. So
exactly their chemistry is definitely there, and plus the fact because it was teed up, which one of them will get the shield when Cap eventually goes. And then there was, we're all left with the idea, well, they're both going to be Captain America at some stage or some version thereof. So ramming them both in a film or in a TV series and kind of playing with that idea that we all know in the back of our heads, not a bad idea. Just keep it light, keep it fun. Do what they did with Mandalorian. Don't try and make a movie. Make a TV show. It's the format you have. Use the format you have.
yeah,
And that is August. No confirmed date. Just
yeah,
August. That date has moved around a little bit too, obviously because of COVID. But August is a pretty sure thing, I think, for it.
yeah. Like that's been. I think that seems to be a trend in the kind of that area. The Marvel kind of movie stuff. But the next one is which is a favorite of mine.
This is a you thing in
Which
August also.
yeah, so it's which is Lovecraft Country, which is looks really really good. I'm really excited for it. A great cast, um, great storylines and stuff like that. It's just kind of a supernatural esque kind of like road trip for family. Very much like Supernatural, the TV show itself, but I think this is going to be a lot more adult, a lot more violent, and a lot more kind of dealing with not only supernatural esque things, but we'll be dealing with a lot of kind of real life period pieces because I think it's set in the 50s.
Yeah, it's set in a not a great time for the main characters, and
Yeah,
that's where it's going to be a little bit stranger from looking at the trailer. A little bit Stranger Things in places, insofar as the monster in the darkness feeling. But also, there's definitely going to be a huge amount of social commentary. This is one of those things that you put on my radar. I had not. I'm not. Uh, I know because your Del Toro is your boy. You're more Lovecraftian than I am when it comes to all that. And I'm really glad you did because when I saw the trailer for this, eventually when it came out, I was like, yeah, Paul's right. This is probably going to be my thing, and I'm kind of very very hopeful. Again, it's one of those ones. I think if it hits the right tone with people and enough of the right people see it, I know HBO Max hasn't done as well subscriber wise as they need. Um, this might be one of those ones to maybe push them over the edge if word of mouth works well enough.
yeah, I think because this is also going to be in conjunction with J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot Production, so it should be good. Yeah, we posted this as one of the ones that could possibly take over Game of Thrones. I don't think it will. I
No,
think it's
it's
one of the.
it's going to be
I
a
think
different
it's
style now that we've seen more.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think it's going to take its. I think it's going to carve off its own kind of corner of the market and be really good. So I'm really looking
which
forward
is
to it.
great. It's always great to have something new doing its own thing.
Yeah,
So,
very much so.
um, I'm hiccuping. Excuse me. And then our final one, which is in December, planned. So December question mark on Disney Plus. It is the other half of that MCU TV show. It's a WandaVision. Now I've chosen an image that is a bunch of stills taken from the trailer to try and explain WandaVision to anybody who hasn't any clue. Long story short, MCU, Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, whatever, one of the Avengers, put it that way. Well, this is going to be a little bit trippier and slightly weirder than all that. It'll be either kind of not inside her mind, but she'll be manifesting or experiencing her own manifestations, um, creating worlds that suit her for whatever reason, and it's being done in the style of classic sitcoms and TV shows. Did I do that
Yeah,
okay, Paul?
yeah. No, as in like so the Scarlet Witch's kind of powers is to do with probability, and I think it's that they're sorry, her original powers were to do with probability. I think they're leaning into it with this in the sense that she's going to be changing probability a little bit, which is reality bending.
Mm.
But the way that her mind will be able to essentially perceive them is to set them into period piece sitcoms, as you said.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of, I think that's where they're going with it, and it's in the search. It's her trying to search for Vision.
Yeah, probably. And for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know, Vision is the now deceased boyfriend. The key thing for the non-Marvel people out there, and I might be talking to an audience of one because there are very few non-Marvel people, but if you've ever seen I Love Lucy or Family Ties or whatever else they actually come up and try and cover here, it looks like they're doing a really good job. There's a bit of Roseanne in there, for crying out loud. They're doing a really good job at playing with the format. And again, this is like, I don't think we have to tell them, you're not making a movie, you're making a TV show. You're getting to use one of your big movie stars and one of your properties from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It looks like they're doing the right thing, and they're having a go at having not just fun with it, but having a bit of free creative license. So it, of all of these, is the one that I'm most interested in, because it could be a car crash, or it could be great. But either way, I think it'll stand out on its own as trying something new.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that in the sense that, yeah, it's definitely out of our entire list. It's something that's not. It doesn't follow any normal trends or anything. Like, okay, I would say Umbrella Academy would be close to its kind of wackiness, but
Yeah,
once again, WandaVision is still its own kind of. It's complete its own thing, you know.
yeah. Which,
So
anytime somebody does that and does it well, and The Good Place proved this, if you're brave enough to take your own move, you can make your own thing and make a lot of people very, very happy. Because it was one of those shows that if you connected with it, you were like, yeah, why did nobody make something like this before? I don't know if that'll be the
yeah,
case with WandaVision, but hey, fair play. Marvel are big enough, too big to fail. I don't know, but they're big enough that they're the ones that should be taking these sorts of risks and putting money into it. So it's great to see.
which is interesting because we've mostly said that DC are the ones who take these kind of risks. So is this Marvel trying to test the feet or test the waters in the sense of trying to branch out from its normal kind of like stuff?
For a minute there, I thought you were going to be brave and go, "Is this Marvel listening to us at last?" Because we know that Kevin Feige is one of our subscribers. I thought you were going to go, "Is this Marvel actually listening to us?"
Yeah,
Because if it is, can we please get a Gambit movie whenever you sort out whatever you're doing with the X-Men? That's just my request. Okay. Um, anyway, so we've covered everything we're going to cover. We've gone longer than we planned, but I think it
yeah.
was good chat. Thanks to everybody in the comments. Sorry we didn't call out as many that came up as we should have maybe. If you have any interest in getting in touch with us, you can get us at Here's Out Tube on social. You can mail us at Here's Out at Gmail. But you
Here's
can
how tube at Gmail, isn't it?
no, it's Here's Out at Gmail. It's Here's Out Tube on Twitter because of
Social, yeah.
yeah. Now, if you can and you really do like what you've seen, then the only appropriate thing to do is hit that little thumb. But if you want to see more of this stuff and make sure you don't miss things, hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell. Forget all that. Everybody wants all that. What we really want to hear are comments. We'd really like to hear from you. Get in there, say whatever you thought about this video, say whatever you want about any of the other videos, say whatever you want about us, particularly him. And if you can start a discussion with us, you never know, it might be the next video we make, and we'll give you a shout out, and you could be the guest star.
Mm.
How's that going to work? He says in his head. This is not legally
Yeah, trying to
binding,
calculate
don't
them.
worry.
Yeah, no, do comments and stuff like that, especially of what's coming up, maybe things that you're looking forward to, because yeah, and do because I've already started a conversation massively with a bunch of Instagram, which because people like us. One of them did that. Just as a comment, they said that Ready Player One was a fantastic movie.
Everybody's entitled to
Auto-
be wrong. It's fine.
Automatically got my goat and started like not that they're wrong. It's just that they eventually did agree to me that the plot was very much undercut for visual aspects. But yeah, so we're happy to have a conversation with lots of people. It's really good. Really
Yeah.
happy to do it.
Yeah, so get in those comments down below. We read every single comment and we reply to just about everyone that is kind, nice, or even just civil. If you hate us, say it in a nice way, and you'll still get a reply from me or Paul. Now, on that note, I have been Patrick. I will get it right this time.
And I've been Paul.
2 thumbs up.
And we're here a out.
I wasn't going to say it in case I said somebody else's YouTube channel. I've got everything else wrong so far. Now, Paul, say goodbye to the people one last time while I find the end live stream button.
See you later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, do all that nice things, and let us talk to you, talk to us, talk to
great.
you, talking to you.
And end
Are we
stream.
out?